in our 40s now, as successful, accomplished, driven men, the mentality is different today than it was when we were in our 20s and 30s. It was about the likes and the subscribes and how many friends you could acquire and what type of platforms you could get on, et cetera. And today, man, to me, it is about this table, the three of us, and the conversation that you and I just had that absolutely rocked my world about your personal story.
Welcome back to this week's Two Caring Gents. In this episode of Two Caring Gents, we are joined by our good friend Anthony Ewing for a conversation that goes straight to the heart of what men need most today, fellowship. Together, we will explore how fellowship goes far beyond friendship, how it's about challenging each other, growing together, and showing up as a witness in each other's lives. And we just won't talk about it. We'll share practical ways for you to take steps towards building deeper, more meaningful fellowship in your own life. Anthony is a CEO and co-founder of Thoughtium, a firm dedicated to helping leaders and organizations grow. But beyond his impressive work, he's a true community builder, someone who has cultivated and lived out the very principles of fellowship we are unpacking today. I couldn't be more excited to share this conversation with them, and I believe it's one every high-achieving man needs to hear. So welcome, Anthony.
Thank you so much. It's
Caring
such an
Gents.
honor to be here. Yeah.
The show. It's a bit surreal having you.
Yeah.
Our friendship goes back 20 years. We've talked, those listening, we've talked about my experience in Chicago and living in Chicago. And I met you in Chicago through a great group of friends that I think we'll probably get into on this show, the fellowship that group has, but there's some of us that have broken off and have a really, really deep level of friendship over a really long time, and the fellowship and the just supporting each other, having hard conversations. Everybody knows that the show is shot in Omaha, and this is our first live guest. And Anthony flew in from Chicago to be with us today.
Yep.
And but with that, what do you recall from the start of our friendship?
Well, I recall that full circle. I mean, you were there when I did my first podcast back in 2016. I mean, our friendship predates that, but I just want to acknowledge how happy and proud I am of you both for starting this podcast.
Thank you.
This has the potential to be more than a podcast. It really does. This is a movement. And I hope that it's, my being a part of it is just, one kind of drop in the bucket in terms of the value that you guys are going to be able to bring the community. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, truly.
Thank you.
Truly, yeah.
If I can, that's a really good segue, Anthony, for if you haven't seen Thoughtium's podcast, what's the name of it?
Navigating Now.
Navigating Now. So
every Thursday, 3 o'clock Central.
Lean on in.
Give us a copy of that.
So what's amazing with Thoughtium's story and your story with that is that it is a perfect example of somebody just going after it. I think you had a vision, and I think you knew like what you needed to do. And watching you on the first episodes, before you ever had guests, I have videos in my head of you with your iPhone at airports during COVID. And there's you sitting on a chair in an empty terminal, or it's 5 o'clock in a terminal, and you're setting up, your shot. And this is the first episode that I was on that he hosted. 3 or 4 business leaders during COVID. Yeah. But the story began way before that. Yeah. That as he was growing Thoughtium, but you're such a good example of, we talk about this a lot, Anthony, like, people have visions and just don't execute. Like, lean into that. Like, how did you see this? And now what Thoughtium has become is incredible, but how did you see that? Like,
well, I think very similar to you both. I mean, I saw an opportunity to provide perspective out in the marketplace, and I was also starting a business, and I think one of the things that I was most passionate about was that no matter what you're building, no matter what you're excited about, or you're investing your time or your resources, your energy into, tell the story. Like, tell the story. And I didn't realize at the time that would serve a couple of purposes. One, it would commemorate the journey of entrepreneurship, building a company, building now a community around that company. But as well, it would be an incredible opportunity for us to connect, with our potential clients, with our community, through that story. And so, I always go by the slogan, one is greater than zero. And, at the time in 2016, 2017, we were still, YouTube was still all about likes and subscribes, right? Like as many views as you possibly can get, as many subscribes as you can get. And I'm sure there were some YouTube early videos of me saying like and subscribe. So like I was part of it, right? I was definitely part of it.
We're in that stage right now.
Yeah,
So,
hit
definitely,
subscribe. Definitely.
So it hasn't died.
Yeah. But I mean, gosh, we're 250 episodes in, and I would say for the first 50, at least for the first 50, it was like a couple of close friends, Chris, you, my sister, maybe my mom, and some relatives, right? For 50 episodes.
Yeah.
I think that's why ventures like this fail, right? Because, you put in a couple of reps, you maybe don't get the numbers, the 250s or the 1500s or the 25,000s that people are looking for, likes and subscribes and viewership and things of that nature. And people fold. They just fold. And luckily, the entrepreneurs that I had followed coming up were, subscribed to this one is greater than zero. That putting just that 1 foot forward is so much better than no action at all. And so to this day, not just the podcast, but it's a fundamental core belief in the way that I approach business, and more so even the way that I approach community and what we're here to talk about today, fellowship. It's not about the numbers. It really isn't. And I hope we're going to get into. So again, thank you for having me. Yeah.
Anthony, I mean, it's my pleasure. It's the first time I got to meet Anthony, and I'm like I've heard the stories and everything that Chris has shared, and it's just like I was like, my text to you was like, I'm so pumped to meet Anthony and obviously see my boys. Like that's what gets me here. It's hard, like you said, it's hard not to focus on the numbers, right? Yeah. Like, are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? And yeah, we're 10 episodes in, and it feels like you probably remember your first 10.
Yeah.
It feels like you just took a massive journey, and you're still like, am I still on the right track?
Yeah.
Or am I just going in circles in the forest?
Yeah.
Right. So that was really good insight. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
I'll stop and dig into the numbers part of it and the importance of depth in friendship and not width.
Yep.
And your and my friendship, there was something about you that I knew we were on the same wavelength really early. I'm talking about first 5-10 minutes.
Yep.
That there's people in life that you hang out with that you're just like, I want more. Or there's something special about that person. And this is it's 5-10 minutes into a friendship. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what you and I now have been through for 20 years. But I think in this world that we live in right now, that there's so much coming at us, and we're struggling to be present, and we're struggling to focus, that I ask people, watch out and listen for those people that really but we're going so fast that we don't take the time to be like, wait a second, there's something different about that person. Right. And you and I had that from a very early stage. So sitting on the bench in front of our condo in Chicago.
1137, baby.
1137. Still get pictures of people walking by. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of.
How do I know your address and not my old address, right?
Yeah, that's. Well, and so how did I meet Anthony? So Anthony went to Augustana College in the Quad Cities, and correct me on anything that I missed there, but right on the border of Illinois and Iowa. And one of my really mentioned Keith and Norm, and now Norm is one of Anthony's business partners. Keith and I went to high school together, and so there's this group of guys from Augustana that just great, amazing group of guys. I'd say about 20 in total, and then there's extensions of those guys that knew high school buddies, whatever. So I never met Anthony, but I've heard of Anthony, and it's St. Patrick's Day.
It's always a great time to meet good friends.
Chicago,
Yeah.
Chicago.
2007, 2008.
That's where I'm
Yeah.
going to,
Yeah.
right? So Matt Irvin, Michalak, Keith Haller, like you're gonna get to meet Ewing. And I'd heard about this guy.
Yeah.
But so you either live in the city or you don't. There's no real like in between.
Yeah.
So I knew he was I knew he lived in the suburbs and he was coming in and this was a big deal. Well, on the north side of the city, every bar has got a wristband. There's just people wall to wall. There's just stuff getting thrown around. So he shows up.
It's like 8:30 in the morning.
I'll let you take it. Like how? Because I basically get to see him across the room. Matt Irvin, who's one of his best buddies from college, like go.
I mean, St. Patrick's Day in Chicago, it's 8:30 in the morning. People
It's
are
noon.
It's 8:30. It's 8:30 in the morning.
Water's turning green.
Yeah, and I'm like just pulling up to this bar. It's called Mickey's. I remember the bar. And it's just jammed with people, right? And like at the time I was living in the suburbs, I wasn't a city guy. So you had to like really conjure up like the intention and the motivation to get into the city. And I had like for weeks was like, all right, I'm gonna make it in. I'm gonna do the whole city thing. I'm gonna go to the bar at 8:15. It's 8:15 now.
He's moving down.
And long story short, I get in there and about an hour into this debauchery that is St. Patrick's Day in Chicago. I'm not Irish, so I can't claim this holiday, nor would I ever want to, because it's just a complete nightmare. The bar's going crazy. I mean, people have been at it for probably 4 hours already. And I just listen, to go back to your concept, like I am a depth, not a width guy.
Yeah.
And St. Patrick's Day in Chicago is all about width. It is. There's no depth. There is no depth.
Yep.
And so, true to form, I literally up and left. I got back into my maroon Grand Prix and drove west back to the suburbs of Chicago. And I met a good buddy of mine who also lived in the suburbs and had the same, at the time, kind of disdain for St. Patrick's Day. We met at a TGI Fridays in Schaumburg, Illinois, and had a couple of $4 beers.
Yeah.
And nice and probably
So
quiet.
it was great. I was in bed by like 9. It was perfect.
So like I've got one green pitcher and I'm standing there and Matt Irvin like points to him. It's like, oh, that's great, man. I get to meet him.
Yeah.
2 minutes
Gone. Gone an hour in.
So then we, Jacqueline and I, this is now moving forward, a couple years, and Jacqueline and I all live on the north side together. And had you moved back into the city by then?
Yeah, yep. I moved into the city in like 2008, 2009.
So then we're hanging like when we lived right next to Wrigley Field. So we were like the collection point. Like people would be coming and going.
Epicenter.
And then that's where he and I started our friendship.
Yep.
And in 20 years, I've let you down. I think I've had moments where I'm not proud of my behavior in different, or just how I was to you as a friend. I don't. I think when I think about you, Anthony, which I think you'll get into, when he goes in on something, you're a depth guy.
I go in.
Multiple, and I'll start bragging you up because it's incredible, but like multiple Ironmans, marathons, I mean, anything in sport, right? Super deep. And then the business. So what I'm getting at is that when you have true fellowship and you have real special friendship, the volume can go up. There were times when we had a boat together with Jacqueline.
Yep.
I would see you every week, maybe 3 times a week. And then there's been times in our friendship where I didn't see Anthony for up to 3 months. But I think what we did do, and he's really good about this, is you stayed in contact.
Yeah.
You stayed in contact.
Yeah, I mean, it's the difference between fellowship and friendship, I think, is maybe what we're getting at. That to me is at the center of this table, right? And so I'll share the definition of fellowship, because it's a term that's fairly new in kind of like the zeitgeist, but I will tell you it's starting to become a little bit more prevalent, especially in circles of men, which I absolutely love. This is a part of my practitionership, my career, my life that is becoming more and more pronounced is men in fellowship, men connecting and supporting each other and challenging each other. But it's a lot different than friendship. So I'll read the definition. Nick, I'm curious to kind of get your thoughts as you hear the definition of fellowship. Fellowship is a shared bond of connection, trust, and purpose where people support and strengthen one another. That's the dictionary definition. And I want to highlight the term purpose there because there's a lot to that word. I will also bring up that fellowship is extremely prevalent in the Bible and in Scripture. I've recently gotten into reading the Scripture, and you tend to kind of gloss over it because you just think it's one of these like old words that just like existed that doesn't exist today.
But it's really present.
But it's really present. And in the Bible, it comes from Greek origin, meaning to share or to participate together. But it shows up in the Bible when believers walk together in faith, they break bread, they pray, and this is the most like goosebump. They carry each other's burdens. They carry each other's burdens. So you talk about a word like friendship, right? Mutual interests, maybe some mutual values, spending a lot of time together, socializing. That is a lot different than fellowship. At the center of that is purpose, is challenge at times, and it's carrying each other's burdens. So I'm curious, Nick, just your thoughts on fellowship, and has that kind of made its way into your world the last few years?
That's been, I would say, it's as from the age of 19, entering the fire service, that is almost a definition of what we experience every time we went to the firehouse. It wasn't like, I don't view the guys I was on the job with as friends. They're brothers.
Yeah.
Right? Like we were talking earlier, is you show up and you're on a 24-hour shift and you have chaos in life and the responsibilities of life that occur, and then you have to all of a sudden put a pause on that for 24 hours. Go function, be a contributor in that firehouse, and live a whole different life and support one another. And yet, in those moments of that 24 hours, you do have your moments of, I need to get this off my chest. I can't go 24 hours and not address this. This is a big piece of my life. I had them, other guys had them. Whether it's serious health scares or serious health issues, financial issues, relationship issues, all of it. And so, again, carrying burden.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We did.
Yep.
We carried each other's burden. And then when those alarms went off, we had to show up.
Yeah.
And not just for that patient, but we had to show up for each other. Right? That was critical. I remember this is when I was in the city of Bellevue, and I remember going and driving a shift. And I remember like calling my mom. I'd call my mom and I'd call Rach. I never saw them because I left before they were awake. And I remember calling and like just saying, I love you, having a quick conversation. Because, in my head is always this, like, we never go to bed mad at each other. Like, you just never know, right? When the lights go out, they might not come back on.
Yeah.
But knowing what I was going to and what I was mentally preparing myself for is anything, right? And, knowing that the guy I sat in back with is a guy I would lay my life down for, right? We were going into anything unknown, a fire, a house fire, anything. I would be sure that his well-being was above mine, right? And I knew that was my mentality going in, so I had to make sure I called my mom, and I made sure I called my wife at the time because I knew that's what I was going into that next shift.
Yeah.
And so it's fellowship. I mean, it's so deep. It's beyond, it's not friendship.
Yep.
It's fellowship is deeper, and you nailed it.
Where have you found? So it's like a firehouse mentality.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Where have you found? Where have you found fellowship at?
I think you tend to gravitate, I think, towards individuals that know and understand the value of depth versus width. So there are definitely some formal corners of Chicago and different circles that I run in that you can find fellowship, but it's organic, man. I mean, Nick, I felt it with you within 7 minutes of us having our first conversation. And by the way, I wanted to say this earlier, but your wife, Rachel, seems like an incredible human being.
She is.
And
I can't wait for you to meet her.
Yeah.
I mean,
she seems amazing. And I say this because it just demonstrates that, like, I've literally known Nick for an hour and 7 minutes. and we had a 15-minute conversation about his story. And again, I see conversations through the lens of depth versus width. And I've seen just the way that you bring up your wife's name and as you tell your life story, these integral moments, these inflection points where she stepped in and shifted energy, changed things, said, "You don't know my Nick."
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
Yeah. Her words, she's very shy and quiet often. Like she loves to read. And she's always in a book.
Yep.
We have a library, and you walk into the library and you're like, how many of these books have you read? And she's read all of them, and sometimes a couple of times, right? The same book. But she's so good at just plugging the right sentence or quote when you need to hear it most, right? Like, for example, another moment was when I was newly paralyzed. I just got home from rehab, and I remember like just trying to take a shower. I couldn't lift my legs into the tub and being frustrated and saying the words like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want this life. And her, like, she never says it loud. It's always in the perfect tone. And that moment, it was just her whispering to me, just saying, yeah, she's helping me. She's like, this is only temporary. It will get better. And just like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
But she was so confident that I believed her, and I didn't even question it. And she was right.
I want to, like, as we go in the conversation, I want to earmark like certain like very practical tips to developing fellowship, because I think the three of us are very fortunate. Like, we run in some incredible circles, a lot of depth versus width. But I am in interaction with and mentoring a handful of really successful men that don't have access to people that speak and walk and lead the way that we do. And so they're asking, like, how do I develop this, right? I've got buddies, I've got friends, I've got fantasy football leagues, but like, how do I create something like what you and Chris have? How do I create something like what Chris and Nick have? And I'd say my first practical tip is to always be looking for something that you can mirror back to your brother. And that could be something that you maybe see in him, or something that you've picked out of a conversation. I mean, it was just so prevalent the few times that you mentioned your wife, how special of a human being she is. Don't hold that in. Like, mirror that back to your friend, mirror that back to your brother. Because in so many ways, what fellowship allows you to do is to learn from one another some of the things that you might not even be seeing right in front of you. And that could be how incredible your wife is. And I'm not saying you don't see that, but it's great to hear that from somebody who just knew you from 37 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And there are times, and you and I, our friendship is made on a foundation of mirroring back those times when maybe I'm headed in a direction that I shouldn't be, and I can't see it myself.
Right.
And I think so many times we make those observations, and as men, we're afraid to bring them forward because it has to be done with vulnerability and authenticity, and at times it might not be well received for high achieving men that maybe lead with ego.
Yeah.
But the root of fellowship, in my opinion, is this mirroring, this two-way mirroring that allows me every day when I'm in communion with brothers like you, to see angles of myself that I didn't know existed, and to put into the aperture certain cuts of Nick, who you are, and Chris, who you are, that you might not see or hear on a day-to-day basis. So when you have those insights, reflect them back immediately. Even stop the conversation and say, hey, I just want to share something back with you, something that I'm seeing or hearing.
Yeah.
Like, that's the starting point of learning and growth, which in my opinion is at the center of fellowship.
I think vulnerability is a big piece.
That's it too.
How
many times have you had to be vulnerable over the last couple of years in front of men?
Yeah. And really no dignity. I mean, the things that I've had to endure that, and like Chris coming into my hospital room to visit me. Like, don't come in here. Like, that's not normal. Don't come in here. You don't want to come in here. It smells weird, right? Like, don't, please. And you know, it wasn't. You were so, you made the environment okay, even though it wasn't okay, and you left that. It was okay to be vulnerable. It was okay to just talk, and we learned so much about each other in just such a short period of time. And you know, it's being vulnerable.
And I think and on the vulnerability front, I think it's so important to call out too that our friendship, this isn't about just good times and, you know, it's always real fellowship, and you nailed it. And of all of the good times that you and I have had and all the memories that we've had, still the things that are probably the most poignant in my mind is when you've said no.
Yeah.
When you checked me.
Yep.
And you've made me better.
Yep.
You know, and now you're in my interactions, I think you feel it. That you're at a point now where you have so many things coming at you and opportunities, and it's a beautiful thing, but my place in our friendship is to make sure you stay focused.
And I love that.
So that you go deep, right? So you don't get so wide and you just skim rocks over 10 things. Be really good at a couple or one.
I mean, it's the same like width or depth.
Yeah.
Right. And it's that same approach to just every venture in life or every challenge in life is to understand it. Like that's what I work on the daily is if I come across like a conflict of any kind, find the depth, find the understanding of the other side of that perception or anything like that, right? It's all the things. And reflection.
Keep going, sorry.
Yeah, no. Reflection. We've talked about reflecting, right?
Yeah.
You're
good at it. I'm not.
It's been a critical piece of where I am today.
Reflection.
Reflection.
Go.
I love that because
it daily.
Yeah, that's actually like my number 2 kind of like practical tip. But I want to hear a little bit more of what reflection means to you in fellowship.
Oh man, so 2 times a day. In the morning, it's professional reflection.
Yeah.
That's like prepping me for my go, right? And then my goal is to be done by 2:00 professionally. Rest of it's for family and friends. That's it. But then at night, it's a little bit of it's more personal reflection. How did I handle those relationships? How did I handle that approach? How did I do? And reflect, and then make sure I apply that reflection to the next day going in. And that's just how I built, and that's just what works for me. And that's been my routine.
Yeah, and I'd say too, maybe to circle back on the mirroring piece. I think one thing that you can think about is if you're in a circle of friends where you don't have those moments where you're either reflecting, you're on the receiving end of some sort of mirroring. Hey, I noticed this about you. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm hearing. You got to think about going deeper in those friendships, right? Like you're maybe not in that space of fellowship, right? Again, difference between fellowship and friendship. And then the reflection piece I think is super interesting because I think what you're tapping into is like you've got to leverage your own self-awareness to be able to step into to deep friendships and fellowship. I would also add that almost reflecting back on your relationship is also critical, right? Your ability to tell the story of the relationship is super critical. And Chris, you and I run in a group of friends that in my opinion, have held some incredible memories. And most importantly, we leverage those to make sure that we're coming back to center. We tell those stories of those, those inflection points, right? Where and not just the crazy party stories. I'm talking about like the real moments where like our lives have shifted together, or we've checked each other, and that's induced maybe a different way of thinking. So your ability to tell a story, like don't be afraid to go back to that story and retell it. About the times, Chris, that I called you broken, and you had to remind me who I was as a person. You had to bring me back to center. Like you got to give those moments air and life. Like that, I can't just hide that in my memory bank and know that like, you and I shared that experience. Like I want to put that at the center of the table and say, hey, like several times in my life, I've come to you and said, I'm broken. And you've given me a couple of really, I think, poignant and interesting ways of looking at my situation in ways that I couldn't for myself. We've got to remind each other of the power in that and the history of our relationship, because that's what builds the credibility and the depth over time. And again, that's a big difference between fellowship and friendship. So again, another measure there would be if you are in a circle and you're only telling stories of the fantasy football leagues and the fart jokes.
Yeah.
And you're not telling the stories of those moments when your lives shifted together. Mm-hmm. You got to think about the type of circles that you're running in. That's another big difference between friendship and fellowship.
We talk about that all the time, Anthony.
Yeah.
That really just taking account of who is around you.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can't have a really in-depth conversation or say what is on your heart about them or about you, that's where that's what I was going back to, is like, where have you found those? Like, obviously that group of friends is very special, and that's created a ton of value and a lot of really in-depth friendships. So it's cool. Like, out of the 20, everybody's kind of found their channel, and there's multiple of Anthony and I in those, and you have like pretty in-depth with some of those. Where have you found fellowship at, though? Like, what circles, what environments, like where have you found that fellowship?
Well, I think some of the strongest fellowship that I've been a part of most recently in the last few years has been groups of men that are rooted in the belief of Jesus Christ. And it feels good to say that. You know, that's something that for me over the last few years has been a real journey. And I've realized that there is no way I could have taken that journey alone. Like, me getting to truly know God. You know, and again, as men, we maybe face those moments where it's like, I've got to explore this, and we think we're travelers, we're explorers. Like, you put on your cape and you kind of take that walk yourself. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. I mean, I have been truly surrounded by a group of men in a men's group in Chicago in this journey of mine over the course of the last 2 to 3 years. And I've been shown through, just their own example, through their stories, and through their, for sure, like checking me left and right, their guidance, right? Yeah. That, this is an incredible walk that I'm on, and that I've got an amazing group of guys to my left and my right that are showing me the way. And I think some of the most sincere, authentic fellowship can be found in circles that are rooted in, whether it's scripture or your relationship with God, a deep belief in something, and maybe at the highest level.
Yeah.
But I've found that as my faith has gotten more specific, as I've gotten more into scripture, as my belief in Jesus has become more refined, so has this group around me. The depth is just there. So that's definitely an incredible place to start.
Well, and you shared earlier today that one of those gentlemen that are men that are in that circle, you all take walks together.
Yeah.
And he's sharing his vulnerabilities, you're sharing your vulnerabilities, and as men in Christ, you're able to know that you pray, you repent. We're on a constant journey of trying to just be better, right? Be a better version. But I think to your, like, that mirroring.
Yeah.
In
and rituals, right? Like
that's taking the time.
Keep going. Like, those walks. I mean, like the walks that I take with dear friends, and we're not talking about the Bible and Scripture the entire time, but I mean, it could be something as simple as just setting up a series or a repetition or something that's ongoing. The ritualistic aspect of fellowship, I think, is something that's also incredibly important. I was just asked a couple weeks ago, how do you build such a tight knit community? And I said a couple of things, but one of them was, if something works, make it a series. So if you have like a dinner with a group of, like, if the three of us I mean, already like this is working, so we should make this a series. And it doesn't have to be centered around a podcast, but if the three of us went out and had an incredible dinner tonight, and Nick, I got to know more and more of your beautiful story, and I'm already like unbelievably invested in you and your heart and your success. I feel like I'm invested in your wife's life now as well too. Don't let me get on a plane back to Chicago without setting up the next time that we do this.
I love that.
Especially for us men in our 30s and 40s that have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Because fellowship can fall by the wayside of everything else that we have going on in our life. And to me, you know, this is a major priority. And something, Chris, that I've been most inspired about you, particularly over the last 10 years, has been the fact that you have repetitively and repeatedly prioritized fellowship in a world where like that easily could have taken second, third, fourth chair. Yeah. It's amazing to see, man, for everything that you hold space for everything that you're creating, for everything that you're building, for everything that you're pursuing, to know that fellowship is still a major priority for you is incredible. It's a beautiful thing. And it's also a testament to what fellowship means to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I value humans more than anything in this world, man.
Yeah.
We did it, you know, we talked about it a couple episodes ago. The beauty of us as humans and the complexity and the differences, and it's so beautiful that he's so different and you're so different from me, and I can learn from you, that when you just see the beauty in each other, and that I want to help you become the best version of yourself, and vice versa. And I got to give you a lot of credit. Audio text. He's the audio text.
Is that like,
he's the king. Yeah. He is the king of it. So every so often, and even when we get separated, so I don't know if we'll get into it on this show, but he picked his bags up for an opportunity from Chicago and just went to San Francisco. I'll never forget the day. And he got the call. He got the call that he got the job in San Fran, and it's the Chicago kid, man. Like, dude, he's crushing it. He's doing great in Chicago.
I was at TGI Fridays and everything.
Yeah, I mean, and then we were on Randolph and we were in Halstead. I couldn't wait to. What was the name of that spot? The one on the corner.
The Holiday Bar.
Oh, gosh.
Come on now.
Place
the green awning.
Amazing.
You could throw the peanut shells on the ground.
Oh, the place is amazing. So, but we'd get separated by whatever he had, had really invested in, and whether it was sport or work or a relationship, which is natural, right?
Yeah.
And I get this 2-minute, 3-minute audio text that would just bring it all back. Like it'd bring it all back, right? And then I'd immediately want to send it back to him. And so the mirroring, mirroring, right?
Because how many of my voice memos will end inevitably with these words? Hit me back. I want to know what you're hearing. Like, I want to know what you're hearing here, right? Like, we talk about the definition of fellowship and your ability to share each other's burdens. That doesn't mean like we trauma dump. That doesn't mean that like if I wake up and have a bad day, I'm just, complaining to Chris. That means that like if I'm going through something, and that move to San Francisco was incredible and beautiful, it was also unbelievably disruptive and really difficult. And I know that there were a handful of those voice memos that I would send you and a couple of the other guys back in Chicago that were explaining some of the challenges that I was going through with that transition, but they always ended with, hey, I want to know, like, what are you hearing here? Because there's blind spots.
Point,
And I knew, again, in fellowship, I knew that I would get authenticity back. I knew that I would get the real back.
Yeah.
I love that. What are you hearing? Because we do get stuck in our own path.
Yep.
But then we're also not, we don't have the ability. I don't think we have the ability to see what the others see, right? The outside perspective, because we're in the driver's seat. But what are you seeing outside that driver's seat? What are you seeing drive by?
Yep.
That's really interesting. I've never.
I like the analogy. We're so.
You're in it, and you're waiting for that next turn.
Yep.
Right. You can't look to the left or right
Yep.
of you.
Yep.
You're gonna hit something.
Yep.
and please tell me if I'm going to, and
Yeah.
that's wild.
You have to be open. You have to be open to allowing fellowship in, right? You have to be open to allowing
You do.
someone to say, like, you have said some really like hard things to me because he loves me. Because he loves me as a brother. That is, I see, like you said, I see you kind of going down this track, and it's not you, man.
Yep.
It's not you. Come back. And we talked about the circles. So I'm really interested on where we can find fellowship, and that's why I'm glad you brought up your group, because I knew.
Yep.
That started a couple of years. All of a sudden, it's like, I'm going to this, and it's. But I think about it, where can we find fellowship? Where can we find people that, one, will listen to us, give us perspective, mirror, help us reflect? I see work as a circle where you might have that.
For sure.
I see family.
Yep.
I see friends. Church. For me, we've had I picked him up this morning at 8:30, and we've carved out as much time as we could to be together and just talk. But I told him, like I told you, for me, my place of just presence and calm is our house. When the phones are away and the distractions are gone, we've talked about this a lot. And I applaud you. Like, the reflection, he does it every day. In the back deck. Yep. That's where you go.
Space.
But it's church too. That is the place when I'm giving people a hug and all of the stuff that's going on in the world is gone.
Yeah.
We're just together in fellowship.
Yeah.
And so, I guess what I'm trying to, anybody that's listening to this, is that look at those circles that you have in your life, and if those circles don't have that element of fellowship, you have to be willing.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to let that fellowship in, though, too.
Yep.
You have to be willing to be vulnerable and take the risk that you're going to start a relationship and start a friendship with someone and fellowship with someone that they might have a perspective on you as a person down the road that you might not like.
Yeah.
But if they care enough about you to realize that, dude, the first couple of times that you were disappointed in me, one, it hurt in a good way. But two, once I got over myself, once I'd gotten over my ego, I realized how special it was that you cared enough about me to say, hey, man, you let me down on this one. But we're,
I think the circles that you just mentioned are like natural circles to look. I would add one, and this was something that I mentioned to another group of men that I had the fortunate ability to speak to a couple weeks ago. Because again, they were asking similar questions like, how can we start fellowship? Where do we find fellowship? You've got to be open for it. But the reminder that I always give is, don't forget what I call your 6-block radius. The people that are literally just right around you.
Yes.
Because you don't have to travel to find it or be a part of some virtual group or anything like that. It's literally right in front of you. And so, over the course of the last 5 years, I've developed an incredible group of men who geographically are literally within 6 blocks of me. And all because in the middle of COVID, when Chicago was shut down, I would walk 6 blocks to work. And I would, for once, lift my head up and get it out of my phone. And I saw a handful of small business owners that were opening their doors and pulling up the security shield and trying to figure it out for that day. Nick Rodriguez, the owner of Train Moment in Chicago, now a budding fitness brand in Chicago, was a single gym that opened a couple weeks before COVID hit. And I would stop and talk to him about the perils and the struggles of starting this gym.
Completely reinvented his business model.
Totally.
We were on that first episode. He was on that first episode.
And he's now one of my best friends. He introduced me to this men's group.
Oh, okay.
Jimmy Graziano, the 4th generation Italian owner of a 90-year-old, 85-year-old Italian deli in Chicago, was standing outside of his sub shop, not a part of Grubhub or DoorDash or anything like that. how are we gonna make this work? And so it doesn't take COVID for you to lift your head up every day and make those connections. And Chris, you are like the king of making connections out in public. Yeah. But I would definitely suggest and challenge everybody to take a look at your 6-block radius, because it's there. Fellowship is there. And this group we kind of formalized, and we meet on a regular basis, and we support each other as entrepreneurs and as men. It has spawned other groups like the men's group and all of this, but it all was just a period of time where I said, I'm going to lift my head up. I'm going to see what's right around me. And I tell people I could spend the rest of my life pouring into my 6-block radius. And I would consider you both a part of my, proverbial 6-block radius. Because that's, and when I say 6-block radius, I mean kind of like your close circle, the people that are around you, the people that you have access to every day.
Yeah.
999 out of 100 men that are listening to this today, you have fellowship already around you. You don't need to go and find it. You need to cultivate it. It's in your 6-block radius. And so I think sometimes it's just opening our eyes to that, because I truly believe, and this is why I feel so fortunate today, with several aspects of my life still very unwritten. I still want to be a husband and a father. And that's an aspect of my life that is still in the works. It's in the making, right? It's still a little unknown. But the one thing that I know, the two things that I know that I can fall back on are definitely my faith, right? Which I couldn't have said 5 years ago. And that to me is I take the most solace in that. Because in Scripture he says, my burden is light, my yoke is easy. And I take so much solace in that. But secondly, like, right above that is my 6-block radius. Those people that are right around me, you two included, and thankfully you now, Nick.
Yeah.
That I can turn to, and I can break bread.
Yeah.
I can share burdens. I can challenge. We can put purpose at the table and have those conversations. And without my 6-block radius, like I truly would not be the man that I am today.
That's wild. Like you said, like looking up and looking around.
And
I've told
my head's in the same place, man.
Yeah.
Like
I've told Chris, man, I just look around. Like I told you when I was in the Millworks district, right? I just looked around, like I was by myself, drinking my coffee, but instead of being on my phone, answering emails, I just took a moment to look around and get, what is my environment? What are my surroundings? It's that situational awareness. But I think we find ourselves, what I'm always shocked about is I don't, you say 6-block radius, and I never intentionally look within that radius. But what I find out is that how many are within that radius that just happened, I met not expecting to be within that radius, and they know each other, and there's so much of overlap in relationships that Chris and I have found. So much overlap. Omaha, they call it's not a big city, but when you find that, wow, so-and-so, and it's always kind of exciting when you find someone they don't know. But for example, Dave, right?
Yeah.
There's an individual, he's 7 years older than me, who I looked up to and idolized as a kid. It was in skateboarding. He ended up going pro. He was amazing. And I loved at that time, that genre of skateboarding, the older guys were just mad. If you snaked them, they didn't want to give you the time to coach you or teach you or give you just their ear, right? It was like, get out of my way. I'm on a mission, right? You want to land that trick that you've been working months on. And you're getting beat up and hurt and you're bleeding and you got asphalt marks on your back and your jeans are tore up and you're sore and your body is beat like you're 90, but you're only in your 20s or younger. And Dave, I told him, I was like, as I'm entering this new chapter with Levi, my son, skateboarding, he's 4, and it's reigniting this feeling. And I never got to tell him how much he meant to me. And I did. With technology today, you have that ability. Yeah. So I looked him up and I reached him and I sent him a message. It was a nice message of just what you meant to me, and I just really appreciated who you were, because you were a pioneer at that time. Now it's everywhere. Yeah. But at that time in Omaha, you were a pioneer. Your smile, your attitude, your positivity, your patience, you were a pioneer. And I just wanted to share that with you as I'm now going into that moment with my son. you came up in my thought. And he's always been that little piece in my life.
Yeah.
To have coffee with them and immediately, without even 3 decades of gap in our relationship since we saw each other last, 3 decades.
Wow.
Never even skipped a beat.
Yeah.
It went right into life. His challenges, my challenges, and we weren't talking about business. We were talking about heavy stuff right out of the gates. It showed up. It was a hug and everything, and immediately. And I'm obviously 3 feet shorter than what he remembers me, but it wasn't even a skip in the beat. And now today, it's that organic. Like, I look forward to hearing a message from him every day and to how he's doing and asking each other and being that support. Yeah. It's wild.
It's awesome.
You picked your head up. Yeah. You picked your head up, and you reached out to somebody. And I'm so glad you brought up, Jimmy. I mean, how many times do we walk down the street and there is a really amazing person? That might be the one time in your life that you walk past that person and you're on Instagram or you're on whatever.
Yep.
Dude, I mean, you and Dave now are linked up. You're talking all the time. He's probably going to partner with you on your business. Yeah. And all because you picked your head up. Yeah. But I love it, brother, that you said that. Like, Jimmy G standing outside and dude, we gotta go get a sandwich. Like, I mean, my mouth's watering. Like, I can taste it. Like, it's so good. And brother, you could have just walked past it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went and met Jimmy Graziano, and he's polite and nice. Yeah. The way that the two of them look at each other, like it's just they're brothers. Yeah. But when I'm getting like, how many opportunities do we pass by? How amazing is the world that when you walk into a room, what if you looked at that room as there's 20 people in that room, 20 opportunities?
Yeah. 20
opportunities. And probably none of them are going to turn into a fellowship relationship. Right. But if I am taking the time to go meet more humans and go that 1 out of 100, I'm going to add one more special person to my 6 mile radius.
Yep.
One other thing on 6 mile radius that struck me, you know what that 6 mile radius has within it? Accountability.
Yep.
Yeah. Accountability. Yeah. That they're going to check you. You don't want to mess up that area, right? That community, because it means so much to you. And it was part of what we built the show on too, is that, and it's width and depth, that you don't need 100 friends. You need 5 really good ones. Yeah. And it's okay to have those platonic relationships. Yeah. But I know I can call you. And again, like I'm incredibly blessed, and I'm married to my best friend. But we have to pick our head up. She and I have to pick our head up. We're so busy that if we're not careful, we start passing each other by. And that's it's a shame.
And it's so easy to do.
And that's what we dedicate a night. Whatever it is, or you and Rach sit on the back deck. Yeah. You take walks with those special folks. But the 6 mile radius thing, pick your head up. Pick your head up
I love that.
Yeah, and I think the thesis to all of this, again, we're introducing kind of a different word, fellowship here, but that doesn't mean that like you need to go and create new things. Like, I think the thesis here is that like you have what you need around you. It's the way that you go about these circles that the difference between friendship and fellowship. And fellowship gives so much more. And when you put some of these like very simple yet sometimes hard to do techniques to the way that you commune with others. Yeah. Reflecting back what you're hearing, what you're seeing. Making rituals, right? And if something works, do it again and put it on the books and make a series. Yeah. Telling the story of your group or your friendship and telling it over and over as a way to kind of anchor back to what matters most. These are all just tactics, right? As with anything, like it's a process. And so, I mean, some of the people that I know that are the best creators of Fellowship, my business partner Norm is another one, are the most organized, operationalized, and repetitive dudes, right? People that just know that friendship takes care, it takes repetition, it takes intention. And so I think, if I could impart, anything on your incredible community, it's that Fellowship exists. It's for sure within your 6-block radius. It does not start with you acquiring more people or even new people. It starts with you sitting down and saying, how can I make those friendships around me better?
Right around me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great
And create
point.
those series.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Create those series, put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
Mark it down and don't put anything in its way.
Yeah.
And make sure that you do it.
Yeah.
I think that's
And I just got to say it, and as we kind of wrap things up here, I really want to give you both just huge congratulations for getting this off the ground.
Thank you.
Now that I know more of the origin story, having heard it through Chris and now through you, it's absolutely incredible to go back to the way you started the episode, Chris, and saying like, hey, it's amazing to think that we're just getting this thing off the ground, that we're in that 1 is greater than 0 aspect.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, this Two Caring Gents concept, I think, has some incredible legs of being in the middle of some amazing fellowship, in the middle of a 6-block radius that I know is going to be cared for and cultivated, and the stories are going to be told and the rituals are going to be set. And I love that you've set this as a foundation or a platform for Fellowship, and I hope that it continues to attract men and women that are at this point in their life where they're looking for more depth and less width. So congratulations to you both. It's incredible.
Thank you.
Anthony, thank you.
You're welcome.
Those are kind words, and exactly the mission here.
Yeah.
Is that? I mean, that's what it was built on. It was built me in the hospital bed, critical, you meeting with me, and then finding out how much a nerd I am on healthcare, right? And then just going, you calling Augie and going, this guy is the biggest nerd when it comes to healthcare. I did not know this. And, saying, we got to start a podcast. When you get out of here, we're doing a podcast. And it seemed like such a far-reached dream, a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Honestly, the definition of a pipe dream. But it gave you that carrot to go for, right?
Well, and the people in the 6-mile radius, 6-block radius.
You can have 6 miles.
And you were in that
know.
6 blocks where I was at.
Chris might have more like
I
6
need to,
miles.
No, I need to concentrate. That's one of my challenges, right? I need to concentrate on just 6 blocks, man.
Which it's funny though, speaking on that, my good friend Dennis, who also plays such a massive part in my story, is his neighbor right across the street. We didn't know that, right? We're like, I'm like, hey, where are you about? You out west or in Elkhorn? And you're like, no, I'm like, no way. Oh wait, you live right across from my buddy.
Yeah, man.
So you talk like the unintentional 6-block radius can happen and not even know it.
Yep.
It's crazy. I love that.
No, the people within the 6-block radius, though, when we talked about doing this, they didn't look at us or me or you and say, "You're crazy. What are you talking about?"
Right.
They said, "Wow, tell me more.
Yeah.
Where are you going to shoot this at?"
Yep.
Ask the questions that actually help pull it through.
Yeah.
Versus, I remember mentioning it to people. Find people. I don't want to find people, but not 6-block radius people that are like, what? How are you don't have this background. You don't, isn't that it? And to your point, AE, that it's right in front of you.
Yep.
Those people, the right people are right around you. And thank you for the compliment
Of course.
on us getting this off the ground. Why don't people lean in on Fellowship, do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I wonder if, and maybe I'll give, I like to give grace first, right?
Sure.
I wonder if life sometimes just gets busy.
Yeah.
And it's easy to kind of just get caught in the cycles and the systems that you're accustomed to.
Yeah.
I think, frankly, I think some folks maybe haven't been exposed to fellowship, like even growing up, like I can tie some of what I love most about this type of community and breaking bread and fellowship to some of my earliest memories, running around the cul-de-sac and having, deep friendships as a child. I think some people
that as a
yeah, for sure. And ultimately, I think when you speak more to men, I think that men particularly are kind of achievers first. A lot of us still have a lot of armor that's up, myself included, and fellowship requires you to take your armor off. Mm-hmm. It really does. And that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
That's not for all men. That is for sure. And that's okay.
We're trained as men to not take the armor off, many times. But then you look at the mental health components that our society has right now. We had Robert look it up, somewhere along this journey, and it's like 40% of men state that they have one friend that they would consider close.
Yep.
And and part of that too could be the reason I asked that, AE, because and sorry for people listening, it's AE to me. So sorry, that's Anthony Ewing. So I had trouble saying Anthony the first half of the show. Now I'm like just going back to my natural behavior. But just finding seeing how much mental health and challenge and depression that there is out there, and knowing that this is so therapeutic, and it's still you're being a man. You're still being a man. Like, you still have testosterone flowing through you, and still have all the genetic codes of them. Like, it's okay. It's okay. Mm-hmm. And, and again, I see, like, he talked about the firehouse. You think about the military, where, like, the toughest of the tough, but that brotherhood and sisterhood that they have of, that community. So it's okay. You can be tough. You can be a man and still, and I think what you find is a life that is more full, a life that is more robust. If you enable yourself to be a part, some of the guys in that group that you're with, these are D1 athletes, national champions, like elite of the elite, and they can take their armor off.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You got to want it though. You got to want to. And I think sometimes it's also just experience and age. It's funny. Like, I think back to like, when we were teenagers and my dad would look at me and say, like, you're not really going to know until, like, you're in your 30s and 40s. And I remember thinking, like, no way, Dad. Like, like, I'm 25. Like, I get it. I get life,
Yeah.
And then to steal a line from one of my favorite, authors, Brene Brown, she says that at some point, and it's typically in your late 30s, early 40s, life comes up to you, takes you by both shoulders, and says, I'm not fucking around anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's usually at that point, I think, that a lot of us tend to open our eyes to deeper levels of support, of friendship, and in my case, fellowship, right?
Grab you by both shoulders.
Yeah. And when,
it's so true.
When Brene drops an F-bomb, it's real. It's real. It's real.
Yes, that's, and I feel that, like, the last 2-3 years, something has switched where, like, the internal reflection and the expectation on myself has gone to a completely different place. I want to be the absolute best I can for my family and for my friends. The grabbing of the shoulders. So true. Yeah. So true. I
mean, we never know the thickness of our armor until we get hit.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yes. And you've been...
Trust me. I thought my armor was pretty thick. It was not.
Yeah.
It was probably light aluminum.
And how did... Well, you are tough. Like, but how did that go? Remember, like, we were talking prior to the show... You thought, I got this. And where did that lead you to?
Almost to death. Multiple times.
And not this.
No. This was not on anybody's radar. This was, let's prepare Nick for comfort and start building his perception that time is limited.
Yeah.
This isn't going to work out.
you let me in, you let Rachel in, all these people, and because you took your armor off, though. I think like when you were talking earlier, when you were going through some of your, when you're going through cancer, when you're going through your heart transplant, you had lived in this environment where it's like, I got this. Like, I don't show pain. I don't. And that at some point can break you. Because you took that off.
Because you show, like, if I show pain and I show vulnerability, then they're going to doubt me. I don't want doubt. I've got this. I need to make sure that was the only thing I could do. That was the mission of every day, was to make sure that Rachel could depend on me to pull through this.
Yeah.
Right? That she has me.
Yeah. And that's not like like what I learned in you telling your story to me today was like, I think sometimes when we say like, yeah, men are afraid to put their armor down, we think it's because of ego. We think it's because, we've got to be these leaders and we don't want to give up that image. Like, for you, it's so much more real than that. Like, for you, like, very good reason for you not to put your armor down. Like, you wanted to provide for your family. Like, you wanted to make sure that like your wife and your kids were good. Like, I get that. Yeah. Like, I get that. And so for you to decide like, hey, it's time for me to put my armor down. Like, I give you so much credit for doing that. Not in the face of ego, but in the face of like, can I put my armor down and still lead as a man in my family?
Yeah.
I can't imagine being faced with that decision.
Even letting your armor down in front of your wife.
Yeah.
That happened.
Yeah.
Me just,
yeah.
Letting my armor down, letting her tell me and sharing what her perspective was, right? That's not easy. It's not easy, but do it. Give it a try, right? That's what I want our listeners to take from this too, is give it a try.
Give it a
Yes.
try. Yeah.
And just trust in the process, and it'll surprise you.
Yep.
Believe me, it surprised me tenfold.
Yeah.
So I hope that does for everybody else that's listening.
It's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
And to your point, let's do this again.
Yes.
We got to make it a series,
We
right?
might be.
Yes.
We might bring this. We might bring
Three
this.
caring gents.
Yeah.
We can go mobile.
Yes.
We can go on a tour.
Dude, our shirts got better looking, more fit, more successful. Just add to it. I love it, man. I love it.
man.
But you never know. We might come to your shop in Chicago and set
my
up
gosh, absolutely.
and let's shoot a show there.
Absolutely.
Love
Yeah.
it.
And it'd be cool to like bring in some of my 6-block radius as well too.
Oh.
Yeah. Like
That's
come
such a great
come up
idea.
on a Tuesday morning. This men's group meets every Tuesday morning.
Okay.
Would love to have you and even have more dialogue like this, because I think it's one thing to have fellowship, it's another to share that with others and to kind of open people's eyes to it. There's such a need for this conversation out there. There's such a need. I couldn't believe at the end of this session a couple weeks ago with 60 young men, in their teens and early 20s, we were talking about some of these basic principles about fellowship and the 6-block radius and putting your armor down. And after the talk, I mean, at least 50% of these boys came up to us and wanted to learn more, asked us if we could mentor them, like truly. And in a world where we feel like the world's information is accessible and free on ChatGPT, like it is, I know there is still a huge segment of men particularly, and young men, that no matter what LLMs or books or Google searches are right in front of them, they need to be face-to-face with their elders. Like, they need to be face-to-face with men who have been through it. And they need to be guided. And that's a big passion of mine. And I hope you guys know that.
Thank you for doing it.
Yeah,
Yes.
but you guys also carry the opportunity and the responsibility to amplify this message.
We've talked about serving before, and that's the highlight of my July.
Yeah.
Outside of my family and always, right? I volunteered for the first time at a youth correction center here. And 10, 13 to 17-year-old boys.
Yeah. Yep.
And just the ability to serve and talk to them and tell them that I love them We did, and I read Corinthians 2, chapter 5, which if you're in God, all things from the past can be wiped clean.
Yeah.
You're a new being. You're a new vessel. So I brought that, but to your point, Anthony, like anybody that's listening to this, that if you have the ability to go talk to others, go do it.
Do it.
And I think, like you said, as now an older-ish man, we're older-ish men, that just how amazed I was at how appreciative they were that I'd given my time to be with them, and I offered up too that when they leave, when they get out, to be in touch.
Yeah.
That I want to carry this forward. So
What a gift, man.
Out of those 60 though, how many walked up to you and
Yeah, at least half.
Wow.
There's a need. There's a need.
Yeah.
I was that youth. I was losing my dad young.
Yeah.
Like, you need that guidance. The world is scary, right? That first career, going to work, and like, my dad did this for how long? And I'm just starting. This is day one, and I got to do this for how long?
Yeah.
I just want to go back to some chips, some soda pop video games, and my TGIF. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why didn't you set me up? Why did you played this very well, Dad. You kept it cool.
And hopefully there's a 22-year-old out there that has lost their dad, or they don't have a father figure that can have the vulnerability to reach out. Yeah. And whether it's me, whether it's you, whether it's AE, that there's a lot of communities out there. Yeah. I lead everybody back to the church. Yeah. Those 10 individuals that I talked to, I really hope they stay in touch. But one of the first things that I told them that I will come over and pick you up on Sunday morning and we're going to church. Yeah. And I don't care long term if you end up at our church. Yeah. But that community of faith is stable and unwavering and unending. And so I hope there's somebody out there that this show touches, that they don't have that person, that they'll reach out. Yeah. They'll reach out, because we'll get you to the right place. We'll get you, or we'll do it. Yeah. We'll do it. So
100%.
Love you boys.
No, I love you too. Take us home, man.
Oh, you're gonna put that on?
Yeah.
Oh,
you're
man.
so good at it. You're so good at it. Our first guest, man.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you.
Of course.
It's
an honor.
It's an absolute privilege, Anthony, for you to be here as our first guest and take us down this journey of fellowship. Thank you. And I really hope our listeners took a lot from it. And we hope that after this episode that they reach out to you. Can we link your handle?
Absolutely. Okay. Find me LinkedIn, Instagram. Yep.
Perfect. Yep. We'll link all your information so individuals listening can reach out and also go. What episode are you on now on your own?
We're approaching 250. Nice. We're 240.
Dude, 244. Congratulations, man. That's nuts.
It's amazing.
Congrats.
One is greater than zero. That's all I got to say, man. One is greater than zero.
On a hat. Yes. Just do it.
Yep.
Lean in.
Yep. And we still do not count subscribers and likes.
I love it.
We don't.
Yeah.
We don't. We show up every Thursday at 3:00. That's the most important thing.
So good.
Yep.
And that's and anybody that's listening to this, Navigating Now has so much value. Yeah. What you all produce is amazing. Thank you. What's cool is it's scaled. Like, you have people from your team now that have gotten the fabric of that show. Mm-hmm. And so you have people, Ashani's going through my head right now. Yeah. She does an amazing show.
Yeah. I know I got to watch The Throne. When you're there's some people that are a little too good at hosting the show.
When you're traveling for work, when you're on the road, it's like all of a sudden there's pupils.
Oh, it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah, it's
beautiful to watch. Yeah.
So, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
You. Yep.
Amazing show. Yes. First guest. Just everybody listening, have an amazing week. Yes. And take care of yourselves. Please reach out to us as needed. And
look at your 6-block radius.
Absolutely.
And start a series.